Good morning. It's Bobby Dupre with the Bobby Dupre Show, presented to you each Thursday morning at 7 a.m. And, of course, it replays in its entirety on the cable companies on Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. And, of course, many of you have been choosing the internet service by whichever way you connected, a computer or possibly an iPad, an iPhone, whatever it may be. We welcome all of you to the second to last Bobby Dupre Show.
Second to last.
Second to last.
Wow.
Yep. And my sidekick here, Matt LeBlanc.
Your psychic?
My sidekick.
Oh, sidekick?
Sidekick. Yeah, and I kind of dressed up a little bit. I was thinking on the way here, I put on a sport coat and a nice starched shirt. And the first show I did, I was in my pajamas at home. I did it on 344 South Liberty Street. That's kind of reminiscing. We're going to do more of that probably next week, but I had to throw that in. The radio was real simple. No matter where I was, I did it from there by way of telephone. And, of course, it got real easier over the years when the cell phones came along. And so...
With TV, you only have to halfway dress up. I mean, you could wear shorts and sandals. Nobody would know.
Nobody would know. That's correct. That's correct. And wouldn't care probably either.
That was David Letterman's whole thing. He always said he wasn't wearing pants under the desk.
Shucks. It's been a fun run. But we have a lot of pictures to show.
Sure do.
And we didn't show any pictures from my day that I spent first with the inauguration ceremonies of John Bell Edwards being sworn in along with other statewide officials, and got a few pictures of that event. And then I went on and went to the ball that night, Governor's Ball they call it, and had some great times at both events, saw a lot of people, and we're not going to probably be able to talk to name everybody because we're going to have to
We'll just go through the pictures kind of quick to show you because there's a lot of them.
First,
I tell you what, before we do that, let's talk about two of our good sponsors. We want to tell you about Carl's Thrifty Way in Opelousas. Carl's Thrifty Way on South Union Street. Visit them for all your pharmaceutical needs. While you're there, visit the gift shop. Right now it's Mardi Gras season. You can get a lot of good Mardi Gras decorations there. And of course they have plenty of other stuff, plenty to choose from. Carl's Thrifty Way on Union Street. And also JB Sandal's been in business for a long time. Is it the oldest business in Opelousas?
I think so.
Yeah. JB Sandal's. It's
and
been
right
there.
After it comes Botomola's, which is also one of our advertisers on the
commercial side.
Commercial side.
Absolutely.
The professional side. We the amateur side.
So JB Sandal's, no matter what you're looking for, it can be kitchen supplies, it can be blenders, it can be a rice cooker, or it can be a pipe.
We've been forgetting the nuts and bolts too. You don't have to buy a dozen or 3 dozen. If you need 2 nuts and bolts and you know what size you need, they're going to greet you just about the time you walk into the door there.
They'll find it for you.
They've never changed that, and they'll walk you right to it, and then you probably going to end up picking up something else before you leave there. It's I love to bring guests from out of town. People, 50, 60 and older, remembered having a hardware store in their town, and most towns don't have one, and never had a J.B. Sandals type.
Right.
But they do have some. And I have to say one thing. A friend of ours, Ken Fakuri Plumbing, has set up a hardware store, Toledo Bend. And I'm telling you, it's something to see. He doesn't have it spread out as much, but he's got it much higher in the air, and he's got air conditioning parts and everything that is needed on a place like Toledo Bend, because the nearest store is 25 to 50 miles, and he has lumber and every other product in there. So anyhow,
I'm sure he got a lot of ideas from JB Sandals.
Oh, exactly.
He probably modeled it directly after that. So whether you need a barbecue pit, a bicycle, a new hose, garden hose, a shovel, or a blender or a rice cooker. You can find it all at JB Sandals. Go to JB Sandals. All right, and we've got a couple of pictures here
First
we're going to run through.
picture is Vicki speaking with Colonel Edmondson, who heads up the Louisiana State Police in Louisiana. And she was thanking him for coming to Marksville and putting some settling down feeling when the shooting took place where that little 6-year-old boy got killed. And he came in and put a number of police, state police in there and quietened everything down, and it helped. And she just wanted to thank him since she works there.
Former
Governor
Kathleen
Kathleen Blanco and Coach on the right-hand side. And we all warmed up. She had a beautiful coat on. And
onlookers?
Yeah, onlookers. And we were sitting in a beautiful place, good location, but the person doing the sign language was right in our view of the speakers.
Oh.
Former Senator Mary Landrieu, and as coach again.
Yep. And former governor. Now, is that Buddy Romer?
Could be. Buddy Romer was there. And that young lady on the left is the new DHH director.
Okay.
Dr.
Is that
G.
the Blue Angels?
Blue Angels,
over?
yep.
They did a flyover?
They had a flyover. I mean,
That's
look.
pretty awesome.
He's, very involved with military.
Right, absolutely. He came from the military.
I thought that was a pretty good old picture, the old boy and,
Very
and
nice.
Vicky.
Yeah, it is.
And,
Sure
and
is.
like she says, both eyes are open. And then our district attorney came up and wanted a picture of him. You see how I'm wrapped up. I had a top coat on.
Chilly.
And a scarf there. And Senator, our new United States Senator, Dr. Cassidy. And
inside the ball, look how nice that is.
Yeah, that's at night. We dressed up in our top coats.
Got all fancied up.
And that is Johnny Anderson in the middle there. My daughter on the right, Megan, and then Johnny Anderson from Eunice. And he's going to play a role in this government. He was with the Blanco administration. And I was glad to see Johnny. And there's only about half of Johnny there. He lost over around 150 pounds, if I recall correctly.
That's a person.
That's a person, that's correct. But he still got that smile and that, what can I do for you?
Mm-hmm.
And this is Pat Morrow on the left, and that would be our new
Gerald Boudreaux.
Senator, State Senator Gerald Boudreaux, St. Landry Parish, a good portion of it, and Lafayette, and a little bit of Iberia Parish, and his wife, Carlos, and then Vicky and myself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
another close-up.
Close-up picture there of the senator.
Another one with you and him and Pat Morrow.
Yep. And there we have Governor Edwards, former governor.
Oh, okay.
That's Edwin Edwards. And Bobby, Megan Edwards, and I'll get it out, Vicky on the right. I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of a death picture we have and of Mr. Raymond Laborde.
Uh-huh.
And we'll talk about he and Edwin Edwards were real tight, because Edwin Edwards was raised in Marksville.
You know,
a lot of people forget that.
I was at the Jay Leno show on Saturday, and he was talking about Edwin Edwards. He did a whole bit on Edwin Edwards.
Well, good.
Mm-hmm. So there we go. Who's this?
Jay Luno, newly elected. Jay,
Is that funny?
Not Leno, it's Luno.
That's
and he's
funny.
from Alexandria and a personal friend of ours. And I'll tell you what, they're going to hear of him. He's capable of being a good representative of the people for the people.
We should have got him to open up for Jay Leno. It would have been the Jay Leno show.
And then this is a group from the Opelousas area, and we don't have time to name everybody, but
I see our mayor in there.
Yep, we see the mayor, and all the way on the left is Miss. She heads up the Parish Democratic Party. She's from Sunset, Louisiana. Works at DiMaggio's Depot Lumberyard in Sunset. I'll get it. I'll come back and think about it. I'm sorry, y'all. We're in a hurry today.
Pictures,
some more pictures
some nice
taken.
family pics there. And I think
The
we saw that one
duplicates,
earlier.
yeah, we saw those.
Uh-huh. Very nice. And there's Ray Luno again. Jay Luno,
Jay Luno.
sorry.
And again, and this is Glenn Armentrout. We see him on TV
Sure do.
a whole lot, and of course at boxing matches, and he's been a big boxing supporter of amateur boxing and professional for that matter.
Very good.
I've been close friends with him, and he's a very successful attorney, and he shares it with the local community. And I can say the same thing. Another successful attorney is Pat Morrow, and he shares a lot with the communities
Sure does.
that he works with.
Sure does. Some nice picks inside.
And that's, golly, it's Mark Guillory and his wife. And Mark says, you know me through Jude Orman. I said, okay, Guillory. And it's Mark. And Megan got into a nice group of pictures. That's a duplicate right here.
And that's
Edwin.
again.
Yeah,
Okay, and that's all. That's all our Governor's Ball pictures.
Well, good. We had fun. It was a fun-filled day. Everybody was loose, and nobody was talking politics that night. But boy, it's going to be a tough
Mm-hmm.
battle for our new senator. Our new governor taking place, and of course, all the senators and representatives are going to have to make some real tough votes. And this budget of ours is out of kilter, about $750 million between now and June 30th.
Wow.
And
Now,
then, $1.9 billion for next year, which starts July the 1st.
Yeah.
Well,
if the state would have won the Powerball, then we'd have been all right.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. We should have bought a few tickets for the state. Yeah.
Was our current governor at the ball?
He was at. I don't think he was at the ball.
Okay.
He was at the inauguration.
Well,
and then
sure,
there
it'd
was
have to be
then
for
there
that.
was Governor Edwards there. There was Governor Roma there. The only governor recent years was Governor Foster was under the weather.
Okay.
He was not there, but he had sent in some words. But time for our first quarter to be over with.
We're going to go ahead and take a 1-minute break right here, and when we come back, Mr. Dylan Guillory is going to be sitting here in my place, and we'll give you a chance to see who's behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz kind of thing, huh?
Yep.
So Dylan will be up in 1 minute.
Welcome back to the second quarter of the Bobby Dupre Show. And I went to say Matt LeBlanc, but we've changed the assistants here. We have Dylan Guillory. We've been talking about Dylan now for about 1.5 years. He started as an intern here at Delta Media. And when he graduated from UL, he walked right on into a permanent job.
Yes, sir.
How do you like on hands?
Oh, yeah, I love it.
You like it?
I'm able to do whatever I want, you know. I'm able to shoot commercials, shoot this show, edit. I'm allowed to do pretty much everything in TV.
And what about your leader, Matt LeBlanc?
He's good.
Pretty good instructor?
Not much to complain about. I'm getting on his level, you know.
You better watch it. He'll cut you off and make you look bad. He's in the control room. We mustn't forget that. No,
Put him in the cave.
It's been a good training program for you because I've watched you grow into it. And this is a good place to work. Matt has worked with some tremendous people over the years, and most of them worked and learned from him. And I do have a few things to mention. On last week's program, probably didn't mention Gretchen having produced the medical shows with KDCG when we were all doing it in Opelousas back in the day. And also Madeline worked with Educom, and Educom was funded by a state grant, and that was gotten to us by way of Doc Hudson, who was a state representative at the time. And so Tom and his family played quite a role, and I think even Blair Did Blair have a role possibly also? Way back a long time ago. And again, I really enjoyed your being with us last program, Tom. Got some good comments from friends. Hadn't realized just how we got it all started and how we moved from A to Z, and in between there, we had a good run. We did a lot of things for a small, low-powered TV station. And of course, when we got onto the cable services, that really boosted our viewing, where we were up to about 200,000, a little over 200,000 households that we, possibly were into by way of cable services. And of course, now we have you. And you want to do a couple of the sponsors real quick for us,
we
please?
Can do, let's do Cash Saver in Opelousas, Piggly Wiggly on the north end, and then we have Cash Saver on Heather Drive. Joey, does the cooking show, and they have really good prices at both locations. Cash Saver is a cost plus store, so basically you're buying everything at cost, and they just add 10% at the register. Great meat, great overall experience. You can't complain, great service.
Yep.
And
they've added several personnel to make sure that the checkout lines are fast and prompt and courteous.
I was actually talking to one of the managers I know the other day, and business still flowing like nothing,
Yep, good. And what's the second?
We'll go with Steamboat. Joey's partner in crime for our What's Cooking show, Jason Hugay. Get any great dish over there. I've been there multiple times. The fish, crawfish etouffee, whatever they have on the menu is going to be great. And then they sit right there where the steamboats used to pass. So the ambiance, just everything is great about it. Beautiful
outing. And I don't care how many times you've been there, you're going to see something different.
Oh, absolutely.
And the weather will be different. You won't be able to go outside. You'll be able to walk inside and see all the old pictures and the historical portion that Washington itself has played a role in. And then this particular structure, the building that houses the Steamboat Warehouse restaurant, was built in about 1825. So that's a little bit before yours truly, Bobby Dupre. Although Monday, I'll have a birthday, by the way. I hope I'm around to enjoy it. And so, anyhow,
Steamboat Warehouse in Washington, Louisiana. Go tell Jason we sent you.
Let's go back to a picture. I was struggling with the name and got the name, and I apologize to Miss Leona all the way on the left. That's Miss Leona Boxey. Miss Leona Boxey, like I mentioned, I knew where she worked, DiMaggio's Depot, hardware store, lumber yard in downtown Sunset, Louisiana. And of course, she's the leader of the St. Landry Parish Democratic Party. And so I apologize, Miss Leona, but then I came back, and you can recognize the rest of the pictures. We were all having passing a big time. And we want to go to some other pictures real quick.
Okay.
We have quite a few pictures again to show you.
Crazy Cajun?
Crazy Cajuns, that's in Mamu. And
bring those up.
That's a copy. I took a picture of a picture, and that's T. Ed Manuel and a young Governor Edwin Edwards.
Oh wow!
He a good-looking guy right there. He looks like the cowboy star from way back in those days. Anyhow, T. Ed Manuel and the governor were real tight. His son, T. Ed's son, now runs rents out the buildings downtown that they own, and he still has T. Ed's lounge. And I'm not sure about the motel, but there were several motel rooms there, and played a big role in the growth of Mamu over the years. And this was another picture I took of, that was a Hurricane maybe Betsy, and that's just some trees and an old car that didn't get hit, but close to it. And this is Don, the chef over at Crazy Cajun Cafe, downtown, a complete line of delicious foods. And this is Don's first job, he says, but I don't believe him. I think he had to have the dishes that he serves are tremendous. And here is Ronnie. Next, I'm sitting, of course, all the way on the left. The next young man with the missing hair there must have a toupee on, a bald toupee on. He's too young to be bald, but probably shaves it. Today, that's popular. Ronnie Arno and his wife and a young son. Ronnie had Ronnie's in Eunice. He's recently sold that. He's doing real well with this cafe here in downtown Mamou, and has just opened a banknote, which was a bank, and they call it the Banknote Cafe, across the street from Dupre Carrier Gotcha and OPAC Sunrise in Ville Platte, Louisiana. So very nice young fella. Glad to meet you, and good luck to you and your ventures. And then we have 4 people there. All the way on the right is Mr. Dallas Mott. Dallas and I go way back. Been knowing him. Carol Dugas, lady friend. Mr. Alan Mott, all the way up front on the left, and Miss Mary Ann Broussard. They were all at the Crazy Cajun Cafe. Nice. Very good service, and I think I have pictures of 2 of the young waitresses. Well, that's Smiley Anders right there. Today's Morning Advocate, Acadiana Morning Advocate, has a article about Smiley Anders visiting Mamou this past weekend, and of course I'll have a picture to prove it. And he comes here every year. I took a picture last year when I saw him there. So anyhow, Smiley makes his rounds.
That's the chef again?
That's the chef again. And these are the 2 young ladies, and I'll have their names somewhere, but girls, y'all just might have to. Nope, I got them right here. Waitresses Corrine and Haley. And they're from Eunice, Louisiana, and they love that job, and kind of new on the job, but you'd never know it. The service and that smile that you see right there, they're not related. Everybody thought they were twins, but they just both have good habits. And then this is Ronnie showing him in different roles that he's played. And then I'm eating.
Yeah, you got your big plate right there, huh?
Way too much food. I mean, way too much. And everybody was served. Yeah. but we were partying. We were not going to go to. Well, of course, my little apartment is right around the corner from there.
Tell you what, while we're on this picture, I'm looking at the seasoning. I wonder if that got packaged at Targale.
I checked it. Targale. Let's give up.
Was it?
Let's give.
Let's talk about Targale seasoning.
Yes, correct.
It's in Opelousas. They pack all the seasonings, almost every seasoning you'll see around here. It was packaged by Target. If you want a seasoning, go to them. They know that's Ted Bellart.
Ted Bellart, that's correct.
They also have all the butcher supplies you can need. Anytime I need kitchen knives, cutting boards, I go straight there, you know, because they have it all. Where else would you go?
That's correct.
So go visit them at Target Seasoning on Wartell Avenue, and we'll go on with these pictures some more.
All right, then just look how beautiful it is. It's crawfish and shrimp étouffée, and then fried shrimp on top. I mean,
packing it on.
How can you just? Oh, you don't want to go there on a diet. And that is an appetizer right here that's scrumptious, and that's potatoes cut up in how do you call that? Squares, cubes, cubes, and it's got some crawfish and other and crab meat, and it's a mixture.
Not bad.
It's delicious.
Okay, that looks like it's all for the Crazy Cajun.
Okay.
So a few minutes left. You want
to
get some more?
Yeah, let's get a few more pictures.
Okay, let's see what we got.
And then we'll get some obituaries.
Talk about Raymond Laborde?
Yeah, Mr. Raymond Laborde. That's a picture right here of Mr. Raymond Laborde, who passed away very recently, last week. And he was a man that was well-liked, loved by everybody that came in contact with him. Here he is speaking outside of his place of business, Raymond's department store. He ran a clothing store there for about 60 years. And that's John Bell Edwards. When he was campaigning in Marksville, naturally he had to go by and make a visit with Mr. Raymond, so they got on outside. And Mr. Raymond served 20 years in the legislature. And he was the Commissioner of Administration. And he and Edwin Edwards grew up together, and they really were close friends. His daughter, Raymond's daughter, says that he would get calls practically every week from Edwin, or he would call Edwin and find out what's going on. They still both were interested in what's going on.
Right.
And that's good. And so to the Laborde family, we say thank you very much, and thank you for helping Vicki get into college with a grant, by way of a grant. She had missed out on filing in time, and her mama says, go see Mr. Raymond. Went and see Raymond, and Raymond called back in about 20 minutes. He says, you go ahead and re-register tomorrow. Your grant money will be there for your tuition.
Wow.
And, you know, that's the kind of ability he had and desire to help others. A lot of people could do so much more, but they just don't, they just live in their little shell. Anyhow.
We have a couple minutes left. You have some more obits you want to talk about?
Well, a rocking bio of the man who discovered Elvis, and I'm speaking of Sam Phillips. I have a picture in Mamou, in the Mamou Hilton apartment that I have there in Mamou, tied right next to the police station. In fact, maybe my building was there before theirs. Maybe they tied into my building. We're not going to get in any fuss. Yeah. It's good protection. My people, my employees are over there today cleaning it up, getting it ready for the, I go there on Wednesday or Thursday and stay until Tuesday night. And anyhow, Sam Phillips was one of the first to pick up on Elvis's, I guess, great abilities.
Talent. Just pure talent.
The talent, yeah. No matter, when he opened his mouth, it came out mellowest. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I don't know if that's right, but that sounds like a good word.
It sounds like a word of a little boy from Plaisance.
Yeah, for a little boy from Plaisance, that's correct.
We can keep going. We can keep going.
Well, why don't we go ahead and do it, stop it, and,
okay.
And then I'll
that's fine with
line
me.
up some more ahead of time.
Sounds good. All right, so we'll be back for the third quarter in 1 minute.
Welcome back to the third quarter of the Bobby Dupre Show, along with my sidekick here, Mr. Dylan Guillory. And we're punishing Matt today. We got him in the little cage back there.
Put him in the cage.
Good morning again, Matt. Matt opened the program, and then we wanted to give Dylan a little shot at a little experience. He be able to say that he worked the Bobby Dupre Show on the mic itself.
Not many people
live.
can say that.
No, not too many.
Other than Matt and Andrew.
And what about Steve? Did Steve? I don't think Steve ever got on the program itself, or Mark for that matter.
Right.
So it's been just a very few. I would like to talk about LHC Group first. One of our longtime, in fact, when we started the television portion of the Bobby Dupre Show, they signed up and have been regular since. And of course, they've grown during those 15 years from a small company to a major company operating with offices in 30+ states now. And it all was concocted, thought of, drinking a cup of coffee in downtown Palmetto, Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And from there, they went and started growing, and they're such a part of the communities that they do business in. They have, Mamou has a nice office serving the people in the Mamou area. Ville Platte has a substantial size office. Of course, St. Landry Parish is different type of services, even a tennis court now, a professional type tennis court,
the health center.
Health center right next door to it on Heather Drive. They have a sizable office with services offered out of there, and then their main office is in Lafayette. And the story goes on and on. We wish them nothing but continued success. And
Okay.
then you have another
And
one?
I have Dixie Storage, over 1 million square foot of storage area. You can store anything you need, whether it's big, small, you're moving out your house and you gotta store some of your stuff while you're moving in. Locations in Opelousas, Port Barre, and Washington. They also have Dixie One Trucking Company and A Plus Glass. The McCormick family just has always done it big, you know, in any type of business like this, you know. So if you need storage, you need anything of that matter, visit Dixie Storage.
Very good, very good. If you look up Mr. John Abdallah, we'll
Yes, sir.
get started. I'll start on a death, Miss Lorena Quibido Landry. And of course, she lived a very long life. She was 91 at death. And the services were held, or what's Thursday, the 21st?
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow,
Well,
yeah.
It'll be when the show's airing.
Yep, while the show is airing tomorrow, Miss Lorena. And well-known lady, loved by everybody. And she, of course, has a son-in-law, Herlin Dupre, I see here. And then, of course, the one I know the best of her children would be Ernest Landry and his wife, Judy. Ernest and Judy are brother-in-laws to my partner, Joe Fred Gottschall. So real close, very well-known lady. And one of her brothers, of course, I knew him, and he sold me clothes at Abdallah's when I was a youngster growing up before the big fire demolished the building, Mr. Allen Quibido. Her maiden name was Quibido, Lorena Quibido Landry. Our deepest sympathies. And another person that I noticed who had passed away is Brian Ortigo, Senior, young fella, age 66, and that's young today because Miss Landry was 91, and 91 is not 90 and plus is not an uncommon. And last week we spoke of a 105-year-old lady.
Right,
So.
right.
We growing and lasting a lot longer. We living a lot longer. And Brian, of course, for many years operated a successful downtown pharmacy in downtown Washington, Louisiana, historic Washington, Louisiana. My deepest sympathies to his family and his friends. And I want to, I don't know this particular fella, but he was Glenn Fry. He, at a young age of 67, he was a co-founder of the Eagles. And while I'm not a music man, I was with a group of people that had some tickets, and they said, Bobby, why don't you come with us? The Eagles are performing tonight in the Superdome. And I said, well, while I don't really know a lot about music, it's an opportunity. So I took advantage of that opportunity and ended up on a front row seat with another opportunity, Ricky Dejean, right. And he was doing consulting work with the Superdome. And so he had a pass to get around wherever he wanted to, and he brought me down to the front row. So that's basically what I remember. I don't remember
the Eagles were big back in the day. I'm sure close to 80,000 at least.
It was fun. It was a fun night, and I'm glad I got to go. Another person who I didn't know, but he has roots in Opelousas, and it's Thomas, better known as Tommy Glasscock. He was only 53 years old. Apparently a very devout Catholic, because throughout this obituary, it mentions about his connections and his services to different elements of the Catholic religion and organizations. His mother was Bernella Gilly from Opelousas. I knew Miss Bernelli, and then he of course, his father was Thomas Carroll Glasscock, and we called him Carroll Glasscock. And then his paternal grandparents were Iris Bush Glasscock and Seaman Glasscock Sr. So I knew all of those people from that I mentioned. my deepest sympathies to the Glasscock family. Mr. Bob Holloman, I served on the bank advisory board for Hibernia Bank, and he was our leader of that group, and played football and ran track at LSU in his college days, and graduated from Centenary College. Must have, for some reason, he went there and got a degree in geology, and of course he became a very successful independent geology. And it mentions as chairman of the board. Cody and he were real good. My brother Cody and he were very close friends. My deepest sympathies. And we'll get on to Mr. Johnny Abdella. We always say Abdallah, but he spells it Abdella. Not related, he says, to the Abdallahs, although he knows them all. They're Lebanese family. And Johnny, of course, you've probably seen him. When I'm going to mention what he does, he's a private investigator. And he handled the Shunick case, did some work on the Shunick case and other cases where the family has the means to hire a private investigator to look into and try to solve this. And of course, I'm sure he played a role in that. I didn't get into specifics, and he wouldn't mention. He's very professional. But we stayed there. We met him. He came over, sat with us while Vicki and I were having breakfast. And we stayed there maybe 2.5 hours talking to this man. I mean, I did a lot of listening, which is unusual for me. That's what y'all tell me. I don't think I talk that much, but I used to talk even a lot more. But anyhow, a very interesting 2 hours or 2+ hours. And I hope to be able to go and sit with him and meet his wife. I got to talk to her on the phone, and she seems like a sweetheart, and I'm sure she answers a lot of calls for him when he's getting these leads, because lots of people think they have something, and some of them do and some of them don't. And that's when a good private investigator knows from experience where to follow through and do a little research on that particular. And I'm sure he has people in each community, like over the years, that have eyes and ears for him.
Right.
So anyhow, Mr. Johnny, I thoroughly enjoyed your company.
Okay. You went to Mamu?
Yep, went to Mamu again, I guess you could say, because we already showed some pictures in Mamu. But this is Chip's Daiquiris. And this is a new place for Chip. Chip has Frank's in Opelousas. When, by the way, they're getting ready for their half-fast crew of Mardi Gras and parade on Mardi Gras Day, I might add. I was king at one point a number of years ago, but I owned the building at one time before that even. That was a little business I owned and had a lot of fun there. And when I thought it was time to get out, I got out. And you might notice in this Chip's Daiquiris drive-through window. There's one at the window and 2 more waiting to get to the window. So looks like it's going to be a winner, particularly on Saturdays. And I think they have a nice night on Thursday nights.
It's very popular for people out of town. People out of town, out of the state, don't know that. I have friends in Connecticut, came down from Mardi Gras, completely blew their minds whenever they saw a drive-through daiquiri place.
How about that? How about that?
Okay.
And good luck to you, Chip. By the way, you seem to have the hustle on, and that's good. And this was probably, I was taking pictures. I'm across the street, the Mamu Hilton, which is a name, I'll give it. It's just a little apartment I happen to own there in a building directly across the street. I'm just showing you where we are. If you go to Mamu, I'm across the street from the federal building, which is the post office also.
Right.
And in the police station, you're going to see a few police cars. The bank building right there, Sabine Bank. And they were having an MLK parade. I took a few pictures of it.
Got some bands.
And bands, and in the VIP nails, this young lady practiced the nails in and the toenails and the spa. She worked with, I guess, a friend or relative in Opelousas. When Vicky walked into the VIP nails and spa, they hugged each other. She needs some business. She does a great job. She's really cleaned up that building, all brand new tiled, all brand new interior. I think I have a picture. I think Vicky, yeah. This young lady got a lot of good training in Opelousas. Vicky, who took this picture here, had her nails, and I had my toenails done by this lady here. And I can't think of her name. She is probably an Asian, of Asian descent, and has a little problem with her English, but you understand her, and she laughs all the time. Does very good work, professional work, all new equipment inside. I apologize for not having pictures of it. Well, that's right, but a Mardi Gras, I'm not going to be doing the Mardi Gras anymore. I won't be doing the TV program. But anyhow, she needs y'all's business if y'all are in that. And if you're within 25 miles, it's worth driving to see how beautiful she's got her shop looking. And then we have a tax preparer in the same building. Of course, Miss Angela Fontenot Hall. She kept the Fontenot name because she's from the Mamu area and lives, I think it's in Oberlin, and has an office in Oberlin, and has a nice thriving business here in the building that I have my little apartment in. Okay, and we'll move on.
And then I know you had
the police, I keep mentioning, that's the door on the right. That's the door getting into my little apartment, and that shows you where the police station is, right next door. Okay. And we'll go ahead and get into some other...
We could probably take a break.
We could take a break now?
We're going to take a break, and we'll be back in 1 minute.
Welcome back to the fourth quarter of the Bobby Dupre Show, along with my sidekick here today, Dylan Guillory. And Matt LeBlanc is hiding in the back of the window over there where you usually sit.
Yes, sir.
We wanted to give Dylan a little experience of being on the air. He said the same thing that Matt said. Well, I don't know how I feel doing the show live like this. And
just too bad.
It's just talking.
I don't get a year's time to get good like Matt, though.
Well, no.
Your last show next week.
Next week is the last show. But you can say you participated.
Right.
When you're talking about your success story of yours you're going to have, you'll be able to tell your grandkids, I was with that man right there. He gave me my first break of being on the air. Yep. And all joking aside, we're kind of in a rush. We have quite a few things left to discuss with you. Hopefully we making it fun and enjoyable. And a few words on behalf of our good sponsor, been there a long time with us, St. Landry Homestead, with offices in Opelousas, in Eunice and Port Barre. And the Port Barre office, of course, will be modernized. They are building a brand new building there. And of course, when you speak of the years of being in business, I think they were somewhere founded around 1922 or something like that, way back there. But their services are identical to the big boys out of New York State. And by that I mean the internet service. If you like to do your banking transactions on the internet, all the services are available to you. Drive-through services at their locations. They are full. And then they have good lending practices. They're known for lending people their first home loan, and that's the hardest one to get. And that's what they specialize in, local home ownership being made possible by their lending habits. And then, of course, if you want consumer loans, they also handle those types. So go see the folks at St. Landry Homestead. Ask to see Kip if he's there. Tell him hello. Said Bobby Dupre said, hello, Kip.
And let's talk about Quarters Casino off of I-49 on exit
23.
23. You get it right all the time. See, we didn't have it on the screen yet. You gotta watch it.
Well, and I always say it from knowing it, but y'all you said 90 something.
Yeah.
And you got me confused there. But anyhow.
Well, anyway, Quarters Casino, they have all the best video poker. While you're there, you can get anything to eat.
Mexican food,
Subway, Hunt Brothers
Subway.
Pizza, El Pico de Gallo, authentic Mexican restaurant, and
Convenience store with all the little sweet goodies. Pick them up
Yep.
and take them with you.
Cat scale.
That's correct.
It's all in one.
All in one place, and it's well lit and very secure and very. I don't know. You feel good when you walk in.
Right.
You treated like a good customer should be treated. Thanks.
So visit them at Quarters Casino.
That's correct. And we'll get on into a few more pictures we have, I think, of the rodeo, the supper of prior to the rodeo company gave us a nice treat. The supper on the right is Don Gay, the gentleman that 8-time world champion. The gentleman in the middle with the what color shirt is that? Light green,
yeah.
Light blue, light green. That's Kelly Richard, our very hardworking president of the Midwinter Fair Association. And the young lady on the left is with the rodeo company. It's kind of strange. Her father owned the company that we replaced this year with this new company out of Texas. And Glenn Asher right there. And we won't be able to have time to name everybody, but
we'll just go through
Stan right here, Glenn again, and different members of the board. And then we're going to have a lady cutting the cake, and that's Miss Barbara Richard. And Barbara and Kelly right there, Midwinter Fair Frontier Rodeo. And there she is right there. Gives us a delicious meal every meeting we have between she and her husband, Kelly. Thanks for the great leadership skills that you place into this successful organization. We have given about $1.5 million back to the UL school in different departments and different avenues, athletics all the way to scholarships.
Okay, let's see, we have these right here.
And this, I was passing by the little Catholic church in Prairie Ronde, and my cousin, we talked about the death of my cousin Jackie Fontenot, Dupre Fontenot, and this is her mama and daddy. Her daddy, my uncle, Talbert Dupre, had purchased a nice block of cemetery space, and we need to clean that off, clean that off, because the rest of the graves are all shiny, and the one who started it all, he and his wife, my aunt, needs a little cleaning there. I'm just noticing that. But anyhow, it was a very big thought for him. I know he was no man of great means, but he was apparently a good Christian. And it shows here, because all of his family is being buried. You can flip it through. And this is different members of the family. And that's my cousin Larry. And they're working on Jackie's grave right here. And what I like about them, there's no grass between the graves. They concrete the whole thing.
Right.
Little bit novel. I don't recall seeing that in many places. And that makes it real nice. See, Parks, well, that's Bonnie, my first cousin.
Okay.
She's on the left and her husband is on the right. They're both alive, so it shows their date of birth, but not the date of death. Very, very well done, and thank Uncle Talbot for being so thoughtful, and it's going to be there forever, literally.
Let's see, well,
what other pictures we have left? That's Vicky's son Clint and his young son Christian, and they've been on a little hunt. And then there's another, Scotty Venable, who used to work with Vicky, came by this morning and brought these nice teas for us and Mom. Yummy. He said, happy birthday. He knows my birthday is coming up. He also said he had watched your show with Tom Daly and found it interesting. It was good to see him again. And that's from Vicky. So we got the story on the teal.
Okay.
And how we got them. We didn't buy them at a store. They were given to us.
Yeah,
I don't imagine. And this store building here was a thriving business years ago, and that's the Perrons. Donnie Perron from Port Barre, Gerard Perron from Opelousas now, successful horse trainer these days, and Phyllis Perron, who is one of the top lobbyists, owns one of the top lobbying firms. She's from the Ville Platte area also, lives now, of course, in Baton Rouge. And all of that was, I think, Mr. Eddie Perron's grocery. And if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Eddie Perron was a state representative at one time. Boy, I'm checking way back recapping. Yep.
Okay.
And this picture here is a picture taken over at Sycamore Point. Judge Richard Hike and his wife are shown with me right here. He served as the marrying judge. It was a beautiful ceremony out on the point on the yacht clubhouse. And this is after, and of course, Judge Hike was a federal judge and has retired, and will do some work through the Morrow Gates, and not Gates, I'm sorry. Anyhow, Pat Morrow's firm.
Right.
And his son, Richard Hike Jr., practices there, and he said he always had an inkling in the back of his mind to work at one point in his life with his son, who is a good young man and becoming very successful in his own. And he bought a camp, 3 Mile Lake, so he's part of our group now. And by the way, we have our annual meeting coming up. You're going to be getting your invitation if you're a member or if you're a lot owner, and we have your address. We will be receiving your billing and the notice of the date of the meeting.
Okay, we got it.
And I'll come back on that next week.
And it wouldn't be one of your shows without some sunsets.
Yep, and that's a sunset right there, and that's probably out from my house. I think it is. And there was a sunrise too, but I guess we didn't get to the sunrise.
There it is.
There it is right there, sunrise. And the Bobby Dupre show, of course, has a habit of just about going overboard and giving you and Matt being back there, I better not push it because I know you can take care of it. I'm not too sure if Matt knows how to ad-lib it, I call it ad-libbing it.
While Bobby gets his prayer book, I just want to remind everybody that next week, Bobby will be taping his last show. I believe he has a special guest, Mr. Andrew Guidreau, will be coming back to co-host with him. So just tune in. It's going to be a great 40 years of recapping his career in TV and radio and all the good memories that he's had. So next week, Thursday at 7 a.m.
Thank you, thank you. And our thought for today is, Lord, grant that I may do your will and not mine, always and above all. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for listening. Tell a friend. Be sure you watch the last program next week. And in memory of a person that I knew very well who passed away January 18, 2014, John, better known as Red Spira. Thank you for viewing.